I would look at it in a couple of different ways. The first perspective really is around policy. The African continent as a whole has only 5 countries that have a mandatory building code. 5 countries in the whole of the African continent, 9%. Only have a mandatory building code, which means the rest of the continent really does not have firm guidelines as to how we should build. So we do have an opportunity to push on policy and regulatory framework to ensure that we design policy that is good for the environment, that is good for climate action. Just looking at Kenya alone, for example, Kenya has actually a building code, but it's not anchored in law. That particular building code has been revised a couple of times. The current revision has actually addressed sustainable building materials and sustainable technologies, pending legislation. So if we could actually sort of take this opportunity to say the 90% of the African continent that does not have a mandatory building code, policy is the biggest opportunity for us to be able to make an impact. Additionally, I'd look at mainstreaming of alternative building technologies as the second way we can make an intervention. And by that I mean we have in the past built with materials that are sustainable. Africans have built with rammed earth throughout time, which is a very sustainable building material. We have collected rainwater from our rooftops because we didn't have plumbing in our buildings. So we're already sort of having these sustainable building practices, but we need to go back to mainstreaming these practices as things we can do even in our urban environments, whether it's rainwater collection, whether it's looking at energy efficiency. So really mainstreaming green building technologies and design strategies towards sustainability. Lastly, I'd speak to education, because there's policy, there's sort of mainstreaming of alternative building materials, and then there's the education portion of things, which is why should we be building in a way that is sustainable? How do we make sure that the general public knows that these materials are available, that the policy actually supports them, that there is maybe financing as well, that finances renewable energy, that finances rainwater harvesting for your buildings? How do we ensure that the general public is being educated on these various elements?